Hello everyone, welcome to the end of the semester. We only have a few weeks left, so let me tell you about the end of the semester, and we can also follow up on your recent discussions, which I just finished grading tonight. So you can see I've got my mohawk ready. I'm ready for summer. I'm sure a lot of you guys are glad to be near the end of this course. Congratulations to those of you who have kept up with the work and are heading towards a passing and hopefully a strong grade in this class. And it's been a pleasure working with you this semester. I like to do weekly videos ideally for my online students, but as you can see, this semester got very busy. It was hard to post a weekly video, but I did want to post one this week. So I have some notes here. Let me start off by talking about logical fallacies. So thank you for posting those really good video and website on logical fallacies. A question I have for you, think about it throughout this video, and then at the end I'll give you my answer. But think about this for a minute. What are the values of learning logical fallacies? How do they help you as a writer, rhetorician, and argumentarian? Think about that. I'm going to ask you again at the end of this video. So my favorite of the logical fallacies to talk about is the slippery slope. This is the fallacy wherein someone argues, watch out for A, event A will cause event B, and event B will cause event C, and event C will cause event D. This strategy, of course, is fallacious because all of the steps from A to D, E, F, and so on down the road aren't necessarily causally related. It's very difficult to prove cause and effect. So if you argue topics such as video games cause violence and gun shootings and things like that, it's very difficult to make that kind of argument because so many other things could be causing the events. So my point is, it's hard to argue simply from A to B, let alone A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So for example, if you're writing an argument trying to say that video games might influence shootings and things like that, you have to be careful and not use absolute terms. You have to sort of hedge your argument with things such as it might be one factor, or it could be a cause, or you might be able to argue it's the main cause, but you probably wouldn't say this is the one huge cause that needs to be addressed, because then your argument is not as airtight. Your opponent could shoot you down. Anyway, slippery slope. And the most common slippery slope argument we ever hear is the gateway drug marijuana. If you start smoking marijuana, before you know it, you'll be doing crack and cocaine, and then before you know it, you'll be going on to harder drugs. And that is obviously a slippery slope. I know lots of people who smoke weed, and that's all they do. They don't progress to stage B, C, D, and E. So, what else? Have you guys seen those cable commercials where it gives you a scenario such as, if you don't have cable, then you get in a bad mood. You get in a bad mood and you go to a bar and you drink too much. You go to a bar and you drink too much, you get into a fight with the bouncer. You get into a fight with the bouncer and you go to jail. Don't go to jail. Buy cable. That's obviously the same sort of argument too, the slippery slope. So some other notes I have for you. I also want to thank Ella and Faraday for posting the video on, it was a TED Talk about arguments as war. I really like this video. The speaker does a good job of having us rethink what is an argument, why do we do it, what's the true meaning of winning an argument. And some of you guys posted about how it does make sense sometimes just to walk away, especially if you're arguing with someone you're never going to convince anyway. So yeah, I mentioned, I replied to a few of you guys, and I told you I have a bad habit of getting all angry and just frustrated when I'm on Facebook and social media, and people will post something that to me is just ridiculously wrong or narrow-minded, and I feel it's my personal mission to go in and correct them and disabuse them of their mistaken point of view. And sometimes I'll start angrily typing something. And then sometimes I will erase what I typed and go back and re-couch it in a more polite and genteel manner, such as I respectfully disagree because da 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 da. But I've gotten to the point now where I simply just erase or don't even post a comment anymore, because whose mind am I going to change? I'm just going to get my blood pressure up, and so it's usually not worth arguing about. So anyway, yeah, this is very interesting, this video. I think in future assignment prompts, I'm actually going to change the language a little bit. And when I write the assignment prompt for the persuasive argument essay, I think I will use language such as maybe I'll put something in about the purpose. The purpose of this assignment is not necessarily to win the argument, but to wallow in complexity and think about it. So thank you, Ella and Faraday. Very, very interesting. And I did actually share that video with my colleagues because we think a lot about what are we trying to teach, what is our purpose for teaching argument. Thank you also to Dana and Blair. You guys posted a really interesting discussion about internet privacy. And I, of course, find this a fascinating topic, as all of you guys did, because I'm on the internet a lot. I'm on Facebook, and I do have a Google account, and so I often think about privacy. So I guess I have like 2 points of view on this. Obviously, the speaker did a great job with his counter argument, bringing up 2 examples. Somebody who's downloading child porn or sexual child images, and somebody who's planning a terrorist attack. Yeah, obviously, those are extreme examples of behavior on the internet that is inappropriate, and especially if there are plans to carry that behavior into real life. So absolutely, I do think it is fine with me if the government or if the online entity steps in and tries to stop this behavior. So yeah, of course I think that's fine. But then of course I think of movies that warn us about losing our privacy, such as Eagle Eye. Remember that movie where there was this big supercomputer that the government had that was watching your every move and all that? That to me, like the whole Big Brother thing from George Orwell, 1984. Big Brother is watching you. Thought police and all that. I wouldn't want people to read my mind. I don't want people to read all my texts, and I don't want people to know every image I look at or every website I look at online. Not that I look at anything I shouldn't, but I just feel, I don't know, I feel like that's my personal world, and I don't want everybody to be watching it. At the same time, though, being cognizant of the fact that we do live in a world where public and private just aren't the same as if we lived in the world of Jane Austen's day, we have to be aware of the fact that anywhere we go, somebody could be watching. There are cameras everywhere on the roads and in shops and in public. And anytime I'm on my computer, I'm a little bit of a conspiracy theorist. I wonder, oh, the webcam light isn't lit up, but somebody could be watching me, right? So anytime I'm anywhere, basically texting or out in public, anywhere, I kind of think of in the back of my mind what multiple audiences could be out there. So in a way, I feel confined by that, but I also think it's a good thing to be aware of multiple audiences. And the classic example I can think of for that is there was a teacher, I believe a public school teacher, who was on Facebook ranting about how slow and stupid her students were, and she wasn't thinking of multiple audiences, so she ended up getting fired because her boss, the principal, ended up seeing this post. So it's good to think of multiple audiences. It's good to not just run around and blurt out whatever you want or anything like that. I think to be aware of multiple audiences, and so I can see both sides of the internet privacy issue. Okay, so I'm going to give you 10 seconds to think about this, and then I'm going to ask you again, now that's the end of this video, how does knowledge of logical fallacies help you as a rhetorician? So you've got 10 seconds to answer, and then I'll give you my answer. Ready? Okay, enough of the Jeopardy theme. So here's my answer. I think that, and one of you actually posted this in your discussion post, but I think logical fallacies can help you in two ways. When you are presenting your own argument, you can be aware of logical fallacies and either not commit them or deliberately commit them if you know that even though they're a fallacy, they are going to appeal to your target audience. And sometimes I ask the philosophical question, like in the presidential campaign debates and such, what if you know your argument is fallacious, but you know it's going to work? You know it's going to reach your target audience. I might be referring to a certain Republican president that I won't go into my opinions on, but the question is, what if your strategy doesn't rely on logic and statistics and facts and logos and ethos, but it still works? Does that make it rhetorically effective? That's a question I think about sometimes. And then the other side of that is, in addition to avoiding fallacies or using them wisely in your own argument, you can point out the fallacies of your opponents. So sometimes you can even set it up so that when you find opposing points of view, you can find fallacies in their arguments and logic in order to shoot them down. But don't find ones that are so obviously poorly constructed that it's easy to rip them apart and show how stupid they are, because that is the straw man fallacy, attacking someone's argument when it's a really, really, really weak one. In your projects and papers, you want to attack the strongest opposing view you can to make your argument more airtight. So anyway, I just wanted to share this video with you about arguments and your recent discussion posts. The last thing I will note, I did want to point out here, you do get to do a rewrite. You get to do 2 rewrites, actually. At the end of the semester, there are drop boxes for those 2 rewrites. You can choose which 2 projects to rewrite. You had 3 projects this semester. Most people choose to rewrite their argument paper because that one weighs the heaviest. Now, you do not have to do any rewrites. So if you're happy with your grade after you get your grade back on your 3rd paper, which I'll be grading within the next week, if you're happy with all 3 grades on all 3 projects, you do not have to do a rewrite. Less work for you, less work for me, so it's there as an option, but you can do up to 2 rewrites. So if you rewrite your argument paper, you can either do a rewrite with your group collaborative multimedia project, which most of you did a PowerPoint, or you could redo your blog. So if you redo your 2nd project, which is the one you collaborated on, could you please indicate a note and let me know whether you both worked on it or just you worked on it alone, so I know who to give the rewrite points to. One final thing is when you upload your final rewrite to the revisions Dropbox, could you highlight all the changes you made from the last draft to the rewrite in yellow? That way I can just quickly scan, because it's going to be the end of the semester. It's going to be due Friday, April 27th. I'll have to turn in grades very soon after that. So if you highlight all those changes in yellow, everything from the beginning all the way to the works cited page, then I can just quickly skim through, see what you improved, and quickly add up how many more points you get. Please do that for me, the yellow highlighting. Thank you, and have a good rest of the semester. Other than the rewrite and the last few discussions, you do have one final discussion, which I believe is a final reflection, asking you what did you learn in the class, etc., etc. And we do that instead of a final exam. There is no final exam for this class. So I hope you enjoyed the class, and I will be in touch with you by email announcements. And thank you so much for letting me work with you and sharing your ideas and posting good things this semester. All right, everybody, have a good weekend.